Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on using the Stage 3 audio kits. In order to get professional results and to offer you as many options as possible, this kit contains a number of different parts, so let's start by going through them. The basis of the kit is the Zoom H6 recorder. This is an audio device capable of recording up to 4 inputs as well as the signal from the stereo microphones on top, all at the same time. In terms of microphones, the kit contains both a Rode wireless kit and a shotgun microphone. We've also included a windshield, lyre mount, and wired boom pole for use with the shotgun mic so that you can get as close to the action as possible. You'll also need the XLR cable to get the microphone signal into the recorder. Along with all these, there'll be a pair of foldable headphones and a mini USB cable which you can use to power the recorder. Let's start by powering up the H6 and getting it ready to record. On the back side, you'll find the battery compartment. The H6 takes 4 AA batteries. To turn it on, slide the power switch to the on symbol. There's a lot going on this screen here, so we'll come back to that in a moment. But first, let's format the SD card so we've got as much room for recording as possible. To do this, press the menu button on the side of the recorder and use the wheel to move down to the SD card menu. Push in the wheel to select this page and then scroll down to Format. Select it and choose Yes to format the SD card. With that done, press the menu button again until you're back on the main screen. Now let's have a look at the information here in this window. At the top of the screen, you can see the current state of the device. There's a stop icon at the moment, but if I press record, you'll see that change to a record icon. This also shows the elapsed time of the recording, or the playback time if you're listening to a file that you've previously recorded. In the far right is the battery life. If you're powering the device over USB, then this will disappear altogether. Below those is the current folder and file that is being recorded. When you format the SD card, the H6 will create 10 folders which it calls projects that you can use to organize your recordings. You can move to a different project folder in the project list menu. This is useful as you can use different projects for different days, setups, or even films without having to wipe the card. Remember, you can always use the date stamp in the file to reference back to when it was recorded. To set the correct date and time, press the menu button and head to the System menu. Under the file names is something that looks like a traditional audio mixing desk. This gives you information on the current settings for volume, pan, low cut, compressor, and phantom power. The volume, pan, and compressor settings are only used if you're mixing the audio inside the recorder. For instance, it's sometimes useful to have one channel come from one ear of the headphones and another from the other, and it can also be useful to listen to the different channels at different volumes as well, so you can hear exactly what you need while you're recording. Obviously, the final mixing of sound will still be done in post, but these tools can make the capture of sound a little easier. If you want to experiment with these, you can adjust their settings in the Monitor Mixer option within the Inputs and Outputs menu. The most useful parts of this screen, however, are the level meters, which you can see next to each of the 5 tracks. These are what we'll use to set the correct recording level for each input source and to monitor them during recording. The channel on the far left of the screen represents the signal from the stereo microphones on top of the device, while the 4 channels to the right represent the 4 XLR inputs on the side of the unit. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the current file format, sample rate, and bit depth. Next to that is an indicator showing if phantom power is active on any of the channels, and if so, what voltage it's set to. You can see exactly which channels have phantom power turned on by looking for the yellow lightning symbol on the individual tracks. In the bottom right of the screen, you can see how much recording time remains on the SD card based on the current settings. Let's head into the menu now and look at how to change the recording format. If you push the menu button and scroll down to the Rec menu, you'll see a number of different modes that the device can use for capturing sound. If we select Rec Format, we can choose from a list of different formats, sample rates and bit depths to suit the needs of the recording. I'd suggest you use WAV at 48 kHz and 24-bit to match with the settings of your editing projects. The higher quality settings like 96 kHz will eat up space on your SD card with little to no improvement in perceptible quality. Now let's set up the boom pole and shotgun mic so we can get some sound into the recorder. First, attach the lie mount to the boom pole using the thread in its base. When that's tight, clip in the Rode NTG1 shotgun mic and attach the XLR from the boom up to the microphone. If you need to use the mic in windy conditions, now is the time to slide on the windjammer. With that done, you can use the XLR cable to connect the boom pole directly into the H6 for recording. Let's put that into input 1 for now. Like most shotgun microphones, the NTG1 requires phantom power to give it the energy to work. To turn that on, go into the menu and head into the Input and Output page. Here, scroll down to Phantom and select it. The vast majority of devices that need phantom power need a voltage of 48 volts, so head into the voltage menu if you need to change that. In the On-Off menu, we can turn phantom on and off for either individual tracks or for all tracks at once. I'd suggest you do it per track, as sending phantom power into devices like the Rode wireless mic can actually damage it, so make sure that you're only sending it to the tracks that actually need it. We're plugging into input 1, so let's select track 1 and turn the phantom power on for that. With that done, press the menu button until you've returned to the main screen, where you should now see the yellow lightning symbol on track 1 indicating that phantom power is being supplied. In order to get a signal into the device, we need to activate the track for recording. To do this, press the corresponding button on the front of the device, which will ready the track to receive an input signal. Now we can use the gain dial for track 1 to set the input level. You'll notice that the level meter is now showing a signal as well, so we can use that to set the gain correctly. One thing to note is the pad switch here. This will drop the input signal by 20 decibels, which you can use if the sound coming in is extremely loud. Check that it's turned off in normal conditions though, as it will mean you've got to have the gain very high just to hear anything at all. While you're setting the level, you should always have the headphones on so that you can hear what's happening. Plug them in here, and if you need to adjust the volume, you can use the switch right next to where you plugged them in. When you're happy with the signal level coming in, just press the record button to start and stop recording. The process is exactly the same for the stereo microphones on top. Press either of the L/R buttons to activate the track, use the gain dial to set the level, and then press the record button when you're ready to capture. Let's talk about another useful feature of the stereo mics on top of the device. They can be rotated to change the angle of the stereo field they're recording. In this position, they'll record a 90-degree field, but if you carefully rotate the capsules, you can increase the width to 120 degrees for a wider stereo sound. Just make sure they're both on the same angle, or things could sound very strange. Just like with an H1, the H6 has the option of low-cut filters, which can be used to cut out low or rumbling sounds before they're even recorded. If you need to turn a filter on, head into the Inputs/Outputs menu and select Low Cut. Now, choose which track you'd like to apply the filter to, and the H6 will begin monitoring the audio. You'll now have an opportunity to audition a number of different possible settings to see which one works best for your situation. When you've found the value you'd like to use, just press the wheel in to select it. You'll see that the low cut symbol here is indicating which track has the filter applied to it. Now let's take a look at the Rode Link wireless mic that's included with the kit. There are a number of parts here, so let's go through what you'll need. The core items are the transmitter and receiver packs. The transmitter, which will actually have the microphone plugged into it, is marked with TX, while the receiver, which will be plugged into the H6, has the letters RX on it, as well as a screen and 2 buttons. Both packs need 2 AA batteries each to power them. To open the battery compartments, press this catch and slide the cover down. You'll notice inside that there's a switch and a red button on each pack as well. The switch allows you to make large adjustments to the transmitted and received audio level if your setup requires it. The Zoom H6 is actually very good at handling loud sounds, so I'd strongly recommend you set the transmitter pack switch to plus 20 dB and the receiver pack switch to 0 dB to give the maximum possible sound output and hopefully therefore the lowest level of unwanted noise. The red button is used to reconnect the packs if they get mixed up. Let's take a look at how that works. If I turn both packs on, you'll see that after a few seconds they both show the same number on their screens. That means they're paired together. These packs use one of 8 possible digital channels to send their data on, so you can have up to 8 pairs working in the same space at the same time. If for whatever reason you've got different numbers on the transmitter and receiver packs, then it's time to use the red button on the back. To pair them up, simply press the button on each pack and hold them close to each other. After a second or two, you should see the same number appear on both screens, indicating that the pairing has been successful. The screen on the receiver also shows the battery level for each pack, the current operating channel, and a signal indicator so you can tell if the microphone is making sound. Let's plug everything in and get a signal into the recorder. First, find the lav mic itself and plug it into the top of the transmitter pack. Make sure you push it right the way in to ensure a good solid connection. Hold the power button to turn the transmitter on and then move over to the receiver pack. Here, plug in the short mini jack cable to get sound out and use the XLR adapter to connect it up to the H6. Remember to make sure that phantom power is turned off on the channel you're connecting it to, as it might damage the radio pack if power is being sent to it. After that, it's the same as setting up any other track on the device. Activate the input, adjust the gain while listening, and then press record when you're good to go. If you want to play back a recording you've made, just press the play pause button and the device will move into playback mode. You can use the track skip buttons to move to the recording you'd like to hear. Press either the stop or record buttons to move back into recording mode. Getting your recordings off the device is as easy as opening this door, popping out the SD card, and putting it in your computer. The files will be organized into the project folders I mentioned earlier, with the individual recording folders below those created every time you press record. Inside these subfolders are the actual recordings themselves, with the track number appended into the file name so you can easily see which is which.